Imagine a place on the roof of the world, where even the clouds freeze. This is the Ukok Plateau. According to local belief, this is the second heaven's layer. So it's neither entirely earth, nor entirely heaven. This is a purgatory. 2,500 years ago, during the Iron Age, a proud people lived in these cold lands, the Pazyryks. They were the masters of the horses, warriors who race against the wind, covering their bodies with art. And one day, one of them died. But this was no ordinary death. His people entrusted him not to the earth, but to the ice. They put it in a time capsule, and that capsule was never opened until 1993. When archaeologists found it, it wasn't just a mummy. It was a biological miracle. There are still blood clots in his veins. He looked at us with the last meal still in his stomach, and the tattoos on his shoulder still looking as if they were alive. This documentary tells the tragic story of the Siberian Ice Maiden. We will witness his gruesome death and the alleged chain of curses he started after his body was exhumed. If you're ready, we're starting to thaw the ice of the past. The year is 1993. The Soviet Union has collapsed, and the scientific community is struggling to find funding. However, archaeologist Natalia Pazyryk, guided by intuition, heads to the Ukok Plateau. Despite harassment from border guards and harsh weather conditions, the excavation begins. There's a rule in archaeology: the most valuable treasures are found in the most inaccessible places. When the team began excavating the burial mound, which they named Kaolaka 3, the soil was indistinguishable from concrete. Permafrost, or eternal freezing, had locked the tomb like a steel safe. Weeks of work. Thousands of liters of water transported from a nearby lake. They boil the water and pour it over ice. As the vapors rise, history slowly surfaces. First, a horse's hoof appears. Then another one. 6 horses exactly. They were all killed with an axe and placed in the grave to carry their owners to the afterlife. And the moment is coming. Beneath the horses, a coffin carved from a massive pine log appears. The lid is secured with bronze nails. When Pazyryk lifts the lid, air that has been trapped for centuries escapes. And inside, they see the woman lying there, as if she had fallen asleep just yesterday. You know about Egyptian mummies. They are dry, yellowed, and brittle. However, the Pazyryk mummies are different. They were preserved by freezing, so their tissues are still soft. So how was this woman so perfectly preserved? Forensic investigations have revealed a chilling preparation process. When the woman died, her body was not buried immediately. First, his internal organs were removed. The brain was removed not through the nostrils, but through a hole made in the back of the skull. His rib cage was cut open, and his heart and lungs were removed. The goal was to eliminate everything that initiated the decay. The empty body cavities were filled with herbs native to the region: peat moss, larch bark, and incense. These materials were both antiseptic and helped maintain the body's shape. And finally, the skin was stitched up. We can still see sewing threads made from horsehair today. This process must have taken weeks. This shows us that he was no ordinary villager. His death was a huge event for the entire tribe, one that required them to stop and mourn. And then those tattoos. The most iconic feature of the Ice Maiden. On his left shoulder, a mythical stag with its head turned back and antlers blooming with flowers. Alongside him are creatures resembling a panther and a griffin. These tattoos were applied under the skin using needles and soot. 2,500 years ago. Can you believe it? This wasn't just an ornament, it was a passport. The ancient Greek historian Herodotus, referring to the people living in this region. So, when talking about the Scythians, he said, they cover their bodies with pictures. That sentence, written by Herodotus 2,500 years ago, was proven true in this tomb in 1993. According to Pazyryk belief, tattoos allowed the soul of the deceased to be recognized by their ancestors in the afterlife. Those who had the same tattoos belonged to the same clan. This deer figure symbolized that a soul would ascend to heaven. He was a sky traveler. For years, everyone thought she was a victim, that she died as a result of a ritualistic murder. But in the 2010s, technology silenced the rumors and shouted the truth. The body was placed in a high-resolution MRI machine in Novosibirsk. The results were heartbreaking. This powerful princess was, in reality, a young girl confined to bed in her final months, writhing in pain. He was still in his mid-20s. He had a walnut-sized tumor in his right breast. Cancer. And it's stage 4. Cancer cells had spread to his lymph nodes and spine. To make matters worse, shortly before his death, he had fallen from a great height, probably from his horse. He had a fractured skull and a dislocated hip. Cannabis seeds found in a copper vessel in the grave. Many historians believed this was for religious rituals. But now we know that the Ice Maiden didn't grow this cannabis for pleasure. He used it to relieve the terrible pain of the cancer that was gnawing at his bones. She may have been a healer, but she couldn't heal herself. While the archaeologists were reveling in their victory, the Altai people were living in fear. The shamans warned, the white woman has awakened. He was guarding the entrance to the underground. The balance was disrupted when you removed it. And then a chain of coincidences began. The mummy was being transported to the laboratory by helicopter when the engines malfunctioned, and the pilots had difficulty landing. The body began to darken in a strange way in the laboratory. But the real blow came in 2003. The Altai Republic was shaken by a major earthquake. Hundreds of homes were destroyed. The culprit was clear to the people, the princess's revenge. They started putting pressure on the local government. Your science isn't protecting us, but the princess is punishing us, they were saying. This process has transformed into a modern political war between the central Russian government and the local Altai administration. On one side, scientific knowledge, on the other, cultural heritage and superstition. Today, Princess Ukok returned home to Altai after a long legal battle. But not where he wanted to go, not to that silent grave. It is displayed in a specially constructed, temperature and humidity-controlled room at the Gorno-Altais Museum. Out of respect for local customs, you don't always get to see him. It is only open to visitors on certain days and during specific phases of the moon. He died in agony 2,500 years ago. His body was dissected, mummified, buried, then exhumed, examined, and displayed again. Perhaps what we call a curse is nature's way of telling us to leave some things alone. Science told us he had cancer. It told us what he ate. But we will never know what he felt in his last breath. He is in the endless glaciers of Siberia. It will continue to sleep with its secrets, even if it's inside a glass dome. Thank you for watching. I am Onyx Abel. Until we meet again in the dark pages of history.